Dean Martin was in his trailer on the set of Rough Night in Jericho when he heard the scream. Not a movie scream, not an acting scream, a real scream. Terror, pain, coming from the soundstage. Dean ran, burst through the soundstage door, and saw director Arnold Laven standing over Jean Simmons, Dean's co-star, his hand still raised from where he just slapped her across the face. Jean was on the ground, crying, her cheek bright red, her dress torn where she'd fallen. 50 crew members stood frozen, watching, not helping, because Arnold Laven was the director, and in 1966, directors were gods. You didn't question them, you didn't challenge them, you certainly didn't stop them. But Dean Martin wasn't most people. He walked straight up to Arnold Laven, grabbed him by the collar, and said 5 words that ended Arnold Laven's career. "You just directed your last scene." What happened in the next 48 hours wasn't just about one director. It was about Dean Martin taking on an entire system, a system that protected abusive directors, a system that treated actors, especially women, as property, a system that said power meant you could do whatever you wanted. Dean Martin destroyed that system, one director at a time, starting with Arnold Laven. Rough Night in Jericho was a Western. Dean Martin, Jean Simmons, George Peppard, big budget, Universal Pictures, Arnold Laven directing. Laven had a reputation, not a good one. He was known for being difficult, demanding, abusive. He yelled at actors, threw things, humiliated people in front of the crew, but he got results. His movies made money, so studios kept hiring him. Jean Simmons was a serious actress, British, elegant, professional. She'd been nominated for an Oscar, had worked with the best directors in Hollywood. She didn't need this movie, but the role was good, the money was good. She said yes. Dean was the lead, the star, his name above the title. He'd worked with difficult directors before, knew how to handle them. Stay calm, do the work, don't engage. But from day one, Laven had it out for Jean. Criticized everything she did, her delivery, her movements, her wardrobe. Nothing was right, everything was wrong. Dean noticed, pulled Jean aside on day 3. "You okay? Laven's riding you pretty hard." "I'm fine, I've dealt with worse." "If he crosses a line, you tell me." "Dean, I'm a professional, I can handle a difficult director." "I know you can, but you shouldn't have to." Jean appreciated it, but she didn't want to cause problems, didn't want to be the actress who couldn't handle criticism. So she took it, absorbed Laven's abuse, kept working. But Laven kept pushing, kept escalating. October 12, 1966, they were shooting a scene in a saloon. Jean's character was supposed to confront Dean's character. Emotional scene, high stakes, important moment in the film. They did the first take. Jean delivered her lines, hit her marks, did everything right. Laven called cut. "That was terrible, completely lifeless. You're supposed to be angry. You're giving me nothing." Jean took a breath. "How would you like me to play it?" "With emotion, with fire. Are you even an actress?" The soundstage went silent. This was beyond criticism. This was humiliation. Jean reset. They did take 2. She added more emotion, more intensity. Laven called cut. "Still wrong. You're overacting now. Can't you find a middle ground, or is that too complicated for you?" Dean stepped forward. "Arnold, maybe give her some actual direction instead of just telling her she's wrong." Laven turned on Dean. "I'll direct however I want. You focus on your lines." "My lines are fine. Your attitude is the problem." "We're not doing this now. Jean, let's go again, and this time try to actually act." Jean was shaking, not from fear, from anger, from humiliation, but she reset, professional to the core. They did take 3. This time, she nailed it. Perfect balance, emotion without overacting, powerful without being melodramatic. Even the crew could see it. Beautiful performance. Laven called cut, walked up to Jean. "Better, but you're still not connecting with the material. You know why?" "Why?" "Because you're not good enough. You've been coasting on your looks for years, but you can't act. You never could." Jean's eyes filled with tears. "That's not fair." "Fair? This is a movie set, not a kindergarten. If you can't handle criticism, maybe you should quit." I'm not quitting. Then stop crying and do the scene again. I'm not crying. You are, and it's pathetic. Grow up. That's when Jean raised her voice. I've been acting for 20 years. I've worked with the best directors in the world, and not one of them has treated me the way you're treating me. So maybe the problem isn't my acting. Maybe it's your directing. The soundstage went dead silent. Nobody talked to Arnold Laven like that. Nobody challenged him. Laven's face went red. What did you just say to me? I said, maybe you're the problem, not me. And Arnold Laven slapped her, open hand across the face, hard. The sound echoed across the soundstage. Jean stumbled, fell, hit the floor. Her dress caught on something, tore. She lay there, stunned, in pain, humiliated beyond words. Laven stood over her. Don't ever talk to me like that again. That's when Dean came through the door. Dean saw Jean on the ground, saw her red face, saw her torn dress, saw Laven standing over her, and understood immediately what had happened. He walked straight to Laven, didn't run, didn't shout, just walked, calm, purposeful, dangerous. Did you just hit her? Laven turned. Dean, stay out of this. Dean grabbed Laven by the collar, lifted him slightly. Did you hit her? She was insubordinate. Did you hit her? She needed to be put in her place. Dean shoved Laven backward, hard. Laven stumbled, almost fell. You just directed your last scene. Dean, you can't. You just did. You're done. Off this set, off this movie, out of Hollywood if I have anything to say about it. Laven tried to laugh. You can't fire me. I'm the director. This is my movie. No, it's my movie. My name's above the title. My face is on the poster, and I just fired you. Universal Pictures hired me, and I'm calling them right now to tell them why I won't work another day with you on this set. You think they're going to choose you over me? You think they're going to shut down production, lose millions just to keep an abusive director? Try me. Dean turned to the crew. Somebody help Jean up. Get her to her trailer, and somebody call the studio. Tell them we need a new director, today. A production assistant helped Jean stand. She was crying now, not from the slap, from relief, from someone finally standing up for her. Dean walked over. You okay? I'm fine. Dean, you don't have to. Yes, I do. This is wrong. What he did is assault. Nobody deserves that, especially not for doing their job. But the production will be fine. We'll get a new director, someone who treats people like human beings, and we'll finish this movie, but we're doing it right. Arnold Laven sued Dean Martin for wrongful interference, claimed Dean had no authority to fire him, claimed Dean cost him his career, asked for $500,000 in damages. The case went to court, lasted 2 days. 50 witnesses testified. Every one of them confirmed what Dean said. Laven had slapped Jean, had been abusive throughout the shoot, had created a hostile work environment. The judge dismissed the case, told Laven he was lucky he wasn't being charged with assault. But Dean didn't stop there. He called every producer he knew, every studio head, every director, told them what Laven had done, made it clear that anyone who hired Laven wouldn't get Dean Martin for their projects. Arnold Laven directed 2 more films, small, low budget, then nothing. His career was over, not because he wasn't talented, because he'd shown his true character, and Dean Martin made sure everyone knew it. Jean Simmons finished Rough Night in Jericho with a new director. The movie did okay, not great, but okay. More importantly, Jean felt safe, felt respected, felt like she could do her job without fear. Years later, in an interview, Jean was asked about difficult directors, about the challenges of being a woman in Hollywood. The worst experience I ever had was with Arnold Laven. He was cruel, abusive, and he thought he could get away with it because that's how Hollywood worked. But Dean Martin showed me something important that day. He showed me that power could use that power to protect people instead of abuse. Do you think Laven would have kept working if Dean hadn't intervened? Absolutely. He would have gone on to abuse other actresses, other crew members, because nobody stopped him, until Dean. Dean didn't just save me, he saved everyone who would have worked with Laven after me. The story of Dean firing Arnold Laven spread through Hollywood like wildfire, not in the press, not in the trades, but among actors, crew members, people who'd been abused by directors and felt powerless to stop it. Dean Martin had shown them something important. Abusive directors could be fired. Actors had power too, and standing up wasn't career suicide. Sometimes it changed careers. Within a year, 3 more directors were dismissed for abusive behavior. Actors began speaking up. Crew members started reporting misconduct. The culture didn't change overnight, but it shifted. And it started with 5 words. You just directed your last scene. In 1985, the Directors Guild of America introduced new conduct guidelines. Directors could no longer physically intimidate actors or create hostile work environments. Violations meant suspension. Repeat violations meant expulsion. When asked where the idea came from, a spokesperson said, "From actors who stood up, from crew members who reported abuse, from people like Dean Martin who showed that power doesn't give permission to hurt others." Dean never took credit. When asked about Arnold Laven, he shrugged. "Guy was out of line. I did what anyone should have done." "But not everyone did," a reporter said. "Then that says more about everyone else than me." This isn't a story about heroism. It's about basic decency. Dean had the power to look away, to tell Jean Simmons to toughen up, to say that's just how Hollywood works, but he didn't. Because Dean Martin understood something simple. Power without responsibility is abuse, and responsibility means protecting people who can't protect themselves. Jean Simmons was strong. She could have handled it, but she shouldn't have had to. Nobody should. Arnold Laven lost his career because he believed authority gave him permission to hurt people, and he ran into someone who refused to accept that. One stand, one sentence, one line crossed. Hollywood didn't change completely, but it changed enough. Enough for people to speak up, enough for abusers to hesitate, enough that decency became expected instead of rare. That's the legacy of the day Dean Martin fired Arnold Laven. Not that Dean was a hero, but that he showed others they could be. 5 words, one stand, a culture nudged forward. That's power used right. That's Dean Martin.